Wild boar are hitting northern Scotland. We're out after the new monsters of Loch Ness.
They have been known to kill sheep.
And catfish, every angler's new favourite predator. These ones in the heat of Africa. Cast over it and bang. Plus we look at Auntie's bullying and hate speech against hunters and shooters. What makes an animal lover want to kill someone?
Total deluded, I would say.
We have a competition for you to win a Tom's steel plate target priced at £148. David has the news on the new stump, and James Marchington puts up the best hunting and shooting videos in hunting YouTube. Welcome to Fieldsports Britain. Browning shooter Elliot Roberts is out after a wild boar on the hillside above Loch Ness. There are some real monsters around here, and that's no myth. Grant Clark of Highland Deer Management has not only seen them with his own eyes, he's dragged massive carcasses off the hill too.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest we've shot was just over 150 kilos, larger weight. So that's with the head off, legs off, ready for the butchery basically. So it's quite a big animal.
Well, that takes some dragging, I should think.
Yeah, it did, yeah. It took a few of us. Serious problem for people. If we look around here, you can see the extent of damage that's been caused. This whole area used to be completely flat, and it's been completely turfed over, as you can see, with them digging. So when they're digging up somebody's front garden, it's not ideal for them. Farmers, landowners, yeah, problematic for everybody. They have been known to kill sheep. There was a few instances before, further down the loch, where they were pushing sheep into a corner and killing the lambs. So yeah, they can be problematic for animals as well. They breed worse than rabbits. One sow will have maybe 6, 7 piglets, and after 6, 7 months, that piglets are ready for breeding as well. So you can imagine how quickly they'll populate an area. They've come all the way from Fort Augustus, right up the loch, and they're now literally outside Inverness as well. We're seeing groups of 15, 16 coming in at a time, sometimes maybe more, and then we're getting solitary ones as well.
Elliot has shot one boar with Grant before, and tonight he's hoping for another. He's brought his current favourite Browning rifle.
Yeah, really nice. It's the A-Bolt 3 Plus. Last couple of years I've been using the X-Bolt, which is obviously the kind of top of the range of the Browning rifles. I think this is marketed more at the kind of entry level of the market, but it's a really robust, sturdy rifle, and it's the kind of the one that I've been going to first out of the cabinet nowadays. On the top we've got the Kite B6 scope, which is a 2 to 12 by 50 scope. It has LED red dot in there with a few different brightness settings. Really good in low light and really nice, sharp, clear picture. And then we've got a recent addition, which is the Infrared Mate MAH50 thermal clip-on, which I only used for the first time last week, but managed to get myself a fox with it, and it's an amazing piece of kit, and it's quite nice to get a bit of footage of the shot.
Elliot's Browning is a 308, which should be more than adequate for a clean kill on a boar.
There's no legal minimum calibre for them. There is a recommended of 150 grain bullet head. So anything with 150 grain heads should drop them on the spot as long as they're shot properly.
We have the right kit. Finding the boar and getting a shot is going to be the real challenge. They're super wary, have highly tuned senses, and move silently through the landscape like ghosts.
Very intelligent animals. Yeah, very intelligent. Very quiet, very light on its feet as well. And movement, silently. And they're very skittish as well. Slightest noises, things like that, and they're gone. And that's them. Once they're gone, they don't come back. Good sport.
Yeah.
Good sport. It's a good adrenaline rush when they do show themselves. Well, we went for a stalk on one of the other permissions and went round the hill where we shot them before, but unfortunately they weren't out, or they weren't in the area where we were. Plenty of deer about though. They're classed as wild pigs basically. I believe they're bred with domestic pig at some point down the line. So we're seeing bronze-coloured ones. They're not all black. There's some that are spotted as well. We've got photos of them. Some of them are woolly, hairy, wiry. So yeah, they're sort of mixed mash. There's no season for them, and they're technically classed as pests, so they can be shot under light, they can be shot under thermal, obviously day scopes as well. There doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to their method. They just seem to kind of do as they please, when they please. I mean, they could be here tonight, and then 2 nights later they're 30 miles down the road. There doesn't seem to be any any pattern to them. Unpredictable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Many nights have been spent out here and, yeah, blank nights. No boar.
Sure enough, after a long walk we've seen plenty of deer, but not a single boar. Grant decides we'll sit in a hide for a while to see if they show up. We settle down for a long, cold wait. Grant reckons that without a huge effort to control the boar, they're set to become a massive problem across much of Scotland.
They'll eat anything that they can get their hands on, basically. Bulbs, roots, ground nesting birds, you'll have a massive problem. In Europe, where they've got massive boar problems, there's nothing else on the ground. All ground nesting birds are completely gone, everything.
So surely the authorities are doing something about the growing boar population?
No, it's been put down to the landowners to deal with the problem themselves, basically. Deer numbers, culls, things like that, yeah. But when it comes to the boar, there's nothing in place yet. Eventually it will do. They'll end up taking over. The way they breed, there'll be far too many of them.
In the end, the boar do not show for Elliot tonight. He will be back for another go for a Loch Ness monster.
It's a little bit disappointing, but I just enjoy being outside, you know, it's just nice to get out of the house. Yeah, it's never an evening wasted. It'd have been nice to have seen a boar, but just seeing all the other bits and pieces potting about, it's better than sitting at home watching Netflix, isn't it?
For more about Browning rifles, see browning.eu, and to find stockists of any of the kit in this film, go to kitfinder.co.uk. Thank you, Elliot, for fixing that for us, and the guys at Highland Deer Management for putting it all together. Now, we had 5 winners of pairs of tickets to the Northern Shooting Show this week, and you can still buy tickets to that via the link in the description below. This week's prize is from Tom's Targets.
So this is called our front-facing reactive fox. It's fully made out of Hardox 500 ballistic steel. Best key parts of the reactive piece is that we take these off, we blowtorch that, you place that back on, and the rest of the target appears cold, and the kill shot shows up with the thermal. It's been shot with 308, 3006. It's been tested up to actually 50 cal. So we do have some recommended shooting distances, which when we post it out to the winner, we will send the recommended range card out for distances of safe use and safe practice.
You're very kindly going to post it out to our winner.
Yes.
Where does our winner need to be?
Anywhere in mainland UK. So mainland, Scotland, none of the islands, but England, Wales, Scotland or Northern Ireland will post it out.
Northern Ireland's all right?
Yes, Northern Ireland is fine.
Easiest way to enter the competition is to join the Fieldsports Nation and watch Fieldsports Extra on Tuesday nights, where we give away prizes, link below. And remember, it all helps us with our fight back against Chris Packham, who is, as you may have heard, suing us. On that, thank you to new members, the McGuigan Kids, who sent me this.
Hey, Packham, leave our channel alone.
I love it. Next, not nearly so entertaining, it is David on the Fieldsports Channel News Stump.
This is Fieldsports Channel News. Fire has been ravaging unmanaged land in Scotland and England's uplands. The Scottish Fire and Rescue Service battled a blaze near Kinloch Moydart on the west coast of Scotland for 2 days. Flames spread over 2 to 3 miles, coming dangerously close to homes and buildings. A fire broke out at Glenfeshie too. Firefighters from 5 stations fought the blaze. Fire has also been devastating moorland in Yorkshire. And there's an investigation underway after 2 huge fires on Marsden Moor, which is owned by the National Trust. It is a site of special scientific interest, famous for its rare ground nesting birds and blanket peat bogs. The National Trust has a policy of not using controlled burning earlier in the year and in the autumn in order to prevent fires. Lord Botham has criticised the RSPB for its stance on keeping its vermin control secret, and the RSPB has attacked him back. A leaked RSPB document insists that its pest control contractors must hide larsen traps from public view. The former cricketer and now member of the House of Lords says the RSPB's marketing presents a Disney version of the countryside, while the charity spends £92,000 on contractors killing foxes in the UK, including using dogs. Speaking on BBC Radio, an RSPB spokesman said that its contractors trap and release many corvids while shooting only some.
We put these matters openly and transparently, yet he brings it up regularly. And I think it could be linked to the fact that he is seeking to pursue his own agenda.
Countryside campaigners are angry that a farmer who cleared a riverbank to prevent erosion and flooding to local homes has been jailed. With some DEFRA agencies, including Natural England and the Environment Agency, condemning tree work on riverbanks, and others such as the Rural Payment Agency footing the bill for it, John Price was in the wrong place at the wrong time when he dredged a section of the River Lug in Herefordshire and stabilised the riverbanks. Mr Price of Day House Farm previously pleaded guilty to 7 charges connected to the work that he carried out between November the 1st and December the 3rd in 2020. The 68-year-old was sentenced to 12 months in prison, ordered to pay prosecution costs of £600,000, disqualified from being a director for 3 years, and ordered to carry out restoration works on about a mile of river. The Countryside Alliance is urging the Fieldsports community to lobby MPs about fake reviews. The call comes as the online safety bill makes its way through the House of Lords. The proposed bill includes a section on false communications, which makes it an offence to post false messages intending to cause non-trivial psychological or physical harm. The Alliance wants this stretch to cover financial and reputational damage. It says antis have started attacking pubs that host hunts and shoots by posting fake reviews, including on TripAdvisor and Google. They pretend to be legitimate reports on the quality of the business's products or services.
We think it's disgraceful that keyboard warriors and those who are absolutely anti-everything can write malicious reviews online without being held to account. So we are making proposals for the online safety bill, and we're urging everyone to contact their MP and support these changes that will protect those who've had businesses targeted in the past and make these malicious communications an illegal offence.
Police Scotland say the number of wildlife crimes reported to them in 2020-2021 rose by 60% from 2015 to 2016. Many of the offences were poaching. The Countryside Alliance says that during lockdown, criminals took advantage of a quieter Scottish countryside by taking to the rivers to poach fish or to the fields to run their dogs on brown hares. The Alliance says it is likely that the actual number of offences were higher but were not reported to the police. It says that thanks to collaborations between police, rural organisations and the Scottish Government, raptor persecution is at its lowest point since records began.
The recent figures that show a rise in rural crime stem from the pandemic, and when the COVID pandemic was at its height, we were told to stay at home, which was the golden opportunity for any travelling criminals to come to Scotland, often crossing the border from England as well. And when they were here, they had the countryside to themselves. The police were stretched and they were able to quite freely poach deer, hares and fish.
A Scottish folk group has secured a top 10 spot for its protest song. As we reported last week, the song, The Clearances Again, by fisherman Angus MacPhail, founder of the Celtic band Skippinish, and singer Donald McNeil, scored success on the iTunes download charts 24 hours after it was released. The song compares the Scottish Government's proposed fishing ban to the Highland clearances. Labour MSP for Highlands and Islands, Rhoda Grant, has congratulated the band on its success and submitted a parliamentary motion for a debate on the song. The National Gamekeepers Organisation is urging shooters and the wider Fieldsports community to take part in the consultation on game bird release in Wales. It fears that shooting is under threat from the online consultation launched by Natural Resources Wales. The NGO is encouraging as many people as possible to respond. It says it's important to take part if you're a shooter, help out on shoot days, benefit from shooting through your business, or simply can see the benefits that shooting brings to biodiversity and to rural communities. BASC and the Countryside Alliance have also produced detailed guidance to help people to respond. BASC says it will give the anti-shooting Welsh Government the power to shut down game shooting in Wales and could spread to England.
It's so important that we support shooting in Wales. Thousands of people have filled in a public opinion survey. We need tens of thousands to do that. If we let the antis win, the Welsh Government will use those results to justify shutting down shooting in Wales. So thank you to everyone that's done it so far. Go on the BASC website, act now. Everything is there to help you fill in the survey, which will take a few minutes to do. Anyone, anywhere can do this. Don't let the antis win. Thank you for your support. Protect shooting.
A new survey shows a 57% increase in eagle nests on moors managed by professional gamekeepers in Scotland. The Scottish Gamekeepers Association conducted the national study with its 5,300 members. Gamekeepers shared information on the location of active eagle nests, with 35 new nests mapped from the previous survey carried out in 2015. Reintroduced sea eagles featured for the first time, with 5 new territories mapped. There were 11 new golden eagle nests within the Cairngorms National Park boundary and 10 in the Monadleat Hills, which had the biggest rise since 2015. Hollywood star Kevin Costner has shared his passion for hunting. The Oscar-winning actor shared his passion for field sports at the annual Park Cities Quail Coalition banquet in Dallas. More than 1,200 people attended the event, which raised £3.5 million for bobwhite quail research and management. The evening is called the Oscars of Hunting. Costner was awarded the T. Boone Pickens Lifetime Sportsman Award. As he accepted the honour, he told the crowd how grateful he is that hunting changed his life.
We will never be able to explain to a cynical world the early mornings, the stops at the Waffle House, that they're as much a part of the day as the hunt itself. Our guns will pass lovingly into the hands of our sons and daughters. And when they bring it to their shoulders and they press it to their cheek against its worn stock, they'll feel us and they'll know the freedom that the outdoors provided.
And finally, it's the stuff of Bond movies, a handgun that can only be used by its owner. Fire Technologies has produced the first gun to use biometrics to unlock it. The smart handgun stores fingerprints and 3D facial recognition from up to 5 users, and the unlocking even works in the dark. The company is taking orders for the new gun, which will be released at the end of this year. The company says it's the first major innovation in how a handgun has been designed or manufactured in 50 years. It says it will give owners peace of mind that children or criminals won't be able to use it. You are now to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts.
Thank you, David. Now, the next Fieldsports live event is at Cloybank Air Rifle Range in Falkirk in Scotland on Friday the 19th of May, starting at 7:30 p.m. This is my 90-minute chat show with competitions, Fieldsports Channel things, guests, and even a bit of acting and music. If you live in the Central Belt or you'd like to head there that evening, tickets are £10, which you can claim back against membership if you buy it on the night. It is free to Fieldsports Nation members and their guests. There's a link to it below. Thanks very much to Davey Scott from Air Gun Gurus for helping us to set it up. Now, catfish. I went to fish a pristine dam in South Africa for catfish on the fly. The theory is easy. We are on the Van der Kloof Dam, 85 kilometres of water created in the 1970s, South Africa's second biggest. Northern Cape wilderness all around, and it has undoubtedly got 50-year-old catfish up to £50, which are seldom fished for. Here's a 30-pounder caught the week after I was here by one of the students from the Northern Cape Professional Hunting School, which is based here. These fish like to live under rocks and at the base of flooded trees. Paddle up to those, drop your fly, and you should catch them. It is, of course, not as easy as that. It takes a special kind of casting, as my guide and the man who runs the fishing camp here, Meinhard, explains.
We slap for water and that attracts them. Slapping is the technique we use is we slap 2 times hard, close to the structure, and then we do a cast that's over the place where you slapped, and then you retrieve over that place. And yeah, we can do that for up to 20 minutes, and we'll see, here comes a smallmouth yellowfish, and then all of a sudden you'll maybe see there's a largemouth coming or a big catfish. Yeah.
So you get to spot the fish?
Yeah.
And when you say structure, I mean, you don't mean multi-storey car park, do you? What do you mean?
Trees and rocks. If you suspect that the tree has got a lot of branches, you can even start throwing the line a little bit maybe 2 meters from the place you really want to be and just slap and you'll call the fish. And if a tree has got birds in it, even better.
Well, why is that?
Because when the birds fly off and they do the fish eat their excrement.
Well, that's a lovely thought. It does work though. You take a Montana type fly, slap, slap, slap 2 or 3 times, and then tickle it back. It is indeed the slap and tickle fishing method, pat pending. One thing the bird life here gives you is a clue about the numbers of fish. Every wrecked tree with enough twigs for cover has nests of chicks with their mouths open waiting for the next fish dish. And almost every bird you see out on the water has one thing on its little bird brain, and that's fish. We go to an inlet called a sloop in Afrikaans. You can see some of the algal blooms here caused by nitrate runoff from farms upstream the Orange River. Unlike algal blooms elsewhere, this one doesn't yet affect the fish. They live underneath the green slick. Here we switch to frogs and poppers. There we go. All right, stick you back in the water. What are you looking for in a catfish spot?
Well, they use the sloops to hunt, actually. At night they form a line and they push the fish in the direction of the shallow. So they are some of the fishes that can work together as a team to catch fish. And in the sloops normally there's a lot of small fish, so they are here. The barometric pressure is quite high and it's rising, and that is how I explain it, why they are not on, because if they are on, they're quite aggressive. Free slaps and they come for you.
Meinhardt likes pressure of 1016 or 1017 and falling, and that's the pressure when this happens. Okay, we're in. Come on, 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 come on. Doesn't want to come. Really doesn't want to come. Ups. And he is 1.5 kilos. Just over 3 pounds.
Yeah, basically we use a big fly that is a slow sinking fly because we slap the water to attract them, and then the slow sinking fly is that they can actually go for and have time to get to the fly.
So they're bottom feeders, but they come up for the fly?
They come up for the fly.
Pressure varies widely here. Rain clouds roll in fast, and you don't want to be caught out in the middle of the lake holding a carbon rod in case of lightning. At times like this, best to head for the shore and sit it out in the baccy. You know the sun will soon be out. Our last kind of fishing is wet wading trees close to shore. They are like mini mangroves, and it's worth wearing shoes because the fish will go for your toes. This is me on day 1 without shoes, trying to avoid that situation. That is very satisfactory. I saw it move out in the open water, cast over it, and bang, it went. That was marvellous. Oh, God. Give it up, give it up, give it up. Wonderful. Well, I reckon that's probably the last catfish I'm going to catch in Africa on this trip. And it is. Let's have a look on the scales. Scores on the scales are, it is 2 pounds. 2 pounds of catfish. It's been an amazing trip, and it's time to put this catfish back into its African habitat. We fish from dawn to dusk with occasional breaks, and we stay in a comfortable tented camp not far from the water's edge with home cooking and all the mod cons you need and none of the ones you don't. If you'd like to investigate a fishing holiday like this with a plains game hunting outing as an extra if you want it, go to salou.co.za. You could be this dachshund. Thank you, Meinhardt, who really runs an excellent operation out there. Next, from Africa to Antilles. The hate they pour into social media against hunting and shooting has to be seen to be believed. Deborah Hadfield finds out what to do when it's directed against you.
I cut your throat.
They call it caring.
He's at the tailors. and he wants to be suited and booted.
When Welsh farmer Gareth Wyn-Jones posted this film on social media, showing techniques he uses to help a ewe adopt a lamb, he suffered a wave of hate abuse, including death threats, all in the name of caring for animals for the planet.
It was like unbelievable. I don't want to go into that kind of language, but it was awful. And I was about to block it, and then a voicemail came through from the same one. So I thought, right, let's have a listen. And then same kind of language, but in the middle of it, he says, I want to come and cut your throat and cut your family's throat, which is like, whoa. And you could hear this guy was deranged.
Gareth, who farms in North Wales, has notified the police.
You never know where it's coming from, so I literally, shocked. And my wife heard it, that upset her, so we're both sitting there Sunday night. It just spoilt everything. Absolute disgusting behaviour from an individual, and he works for a charity out in the Netherlands. We've done some digging, so phoned the police, and it's under investigation as we speak now.
Fieldsports Nation member and former Metropolitan Police detective Ian Jensen says the police have limited powers to tackle hate crimes.
Making threats to kill somebody is a specific offence if the person sending it intends you to fear that it will be carried out. So even if you're not frightened, that kind of doesn't matter, because it's the intention of the person sending the message. That's the important thing.
Animal rights extremists can take their hate to your front door, as reported in Fieldsports News. These men came to Syed Rizwan's house in Essex after dark, following an article about him hunting in the Daily Mirror that revealed his home address. He spoke to them and they left without causing damage.
I have received every type of abuse a person can possibly receive, whether it's phone calls, emails, text messages, voice messages, messages via my social media pages. They called on my company lines several times, spoken to my staff, swearing at me, calling me names, you name it. And I feel awful. The reason I feel awful about it, that I'm a law-abiding citizen of UK who's done nothing wrong, nothing against the law. I've not committed any crime whatsoever. So why I have to go through all this?
Ollie Williams, who runs the Cornish sporting agency, is frequently the target of abuse and death threats, following his appearance on hit TV show Love Island.
So I've undergone, obviously, a lot of, or more than most people in terms of death threats and abuse. I think probably have had best part of 10, 15,000 messages of hate and death and all sorts. But in truth, these online messages, you shouldn't let them get to you, because they're not real.
Neil Rowntree, a deer stalker from Scotland, is also all too familiar with the abuse.
In the last 3 to 4 years, it's got considerably worse. I mean, we've had telephone calls to the house that the children have answered, that Faye's answered, or messages that have been left on the answer phone that suggest that your children should be run over, that they should die of some horrid disease, that we should die of some horrid disease. They've shared vehicle registration numbers. Both myself and Stevie, photographs of us were put online.
In says that hunters and shooters are no good at being victims.
It's important that the authorities, the police, and the people who run social media platforms realise the threats, harassment and trolling that people involved in field sports are subjected to on a regular basis. It's not widely reported, certainly not as widely as the alleged abuse that opponents of field sports claim to be receiving every day. They're rather better at being victims of this sort of behaviour than people involved in field sports are. And it's only by informing the police and social media platforms that the people who do send abusive messages or threatening messages to people involved in field sports can be brought to account and their behaviour challenged.
Gareth is determined the antis will not win, and he will continue to share the realities of farming life.
I believe rural people are targeted because there's so much misleading information out there. We're living in a world where 80% of people live in cities and they've lost connection with the countryside and what goes on, food production, and they live in like a Disney bubble that they think food just falls from the magic supermarket tree and lands on the supermarket shelves and nothing dies, and you know, it's just bonkers. People are just so far removed from reality. And as somebody that's hunted, fished, you know, I know what it takes to put food on my plate. I know what dies for me to grow my veg and fruit.
Even if the police can do nothing, Ian says report all abuse to them. It will cross someone's desk in the Home Office, and eventually they'll take action.
The Fieldsports community and the rural community, you know, they're kind of used to taking, how shall I say it, people's disagreement in their stride, because and they play generally with a straight bat. You know, you accept that not everybody agrees with field sports and not everybody agrees with fishing, but if you could just have a fair chance to explain it, people may come round to your way of thinking, and mostly people do, but not everybody. But then we sit back and see behaviour of the sort that we've discussed, and certainly the kind of messages and stuff that Gareth has got online is absolutely nipped in the bud and not accepted. And the way we do that is by screen grabbing it, getting your evidence and giving it to the police and insisting that they do something.
It's stressful. It enters into your family's life. It can affect them when they're at school. It can affect you when you're at work. People can comment when you go into supermarkets. And I don't think it's an effort to correct us. I think it's an effort to destroy our way of life and people's ability to make a livelihood.
In his letter it said, I will kill you in the next 12 months, that is a promise. And I know your routine, I know where you'll be at certain points and whatever. It was pretty terrifying letter to receive anyway. And anyway, they traced this back to a chap in West Yorkshire, a 65-year-old man, I think. And I think he got a slap on the wrist. So they don't take these things seriously. So the police aren't taking it seriously. I think it's a shame, because it's just normalising his behaviour. If there's no consequences, then that of course will be the issue. But no, it never made me quit shooting unless one of them actually followed through with it, I suppose.
It's not easy being a farmer, and I think we're an easy target for these animal rights because they've got nothing in their lives. They are lost souls and they're looking for something, and sometimes I feel really sorry for them that they've got so much hatred towards another human being, and then they say they're kind and caring individuals. Total deluded, I would say.
Thanks all who took part in that. Now to the wider world of hunting and shooting films on YouTube, brought to you by James Marchington. It's Hunting YouTube.
This is Hunting YouTube, which aims to show the best hunting and shooting videos that YouTube has to offer. First up this week, Kentucky Ballistics is having a blast with a massive 4-bore rifle shooting a 1-inch diameter bullet weighing 5 ounces. He destroys cinder blocks, water bottles and a big can of beans, all in glorious slow motion. More crazy firepower from One Shot TV. This is billed as the world's most powerful semi-auto airgun. It's pushing out 9mm slugs at over 800 feet per second. That's well over 100 foot-pounds and makes a big mess of a watermelon. From targets to live quarry and air-tack hunting are going after farmyard pests and geese in South Africa with powerful FX airguns at ranges up to 200 yards. Here's the latest promotional film from Browning showcasing their new straight pull rifle, the Morale 4X. It explains how you can choose from a variety of stocks, engravings and more with the online configurator to build your dream rifle. Over to the USA, and Mindak Outdoors set up a massive pattern with more than 2,000 decoys to shoot snow geese with an AR-12 shotgun. Staying in the States, in a change from his usual pest control videos, Airgun Evolution shares a DIY project to build a compressed air-powered harpoon gun for fishing. Meanwhile in Africa, Andy Buchanan teams up with the hyena Hitman to deal with a spotted hyena that's already attacked 3 villagers. And finally, here's the latest from Dave Carey, shooting some splendid driven pheasants with a 28-bore on a lovely crisp day at Lingham in the Lake District. That's it for this week. We've put all these films into a playlist for you. Click on the eye symbol top right or check this film's description. If you have a YouTube film you'd like us to pop into the weekly top 8, email Charlie the link, charlie@fieldsportschannel.tv.
And that's it for this week. If you haven't done so, please whiz over to our website, fieldsportschannel.tv. You can click to like us there on Facebook and on Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube, pop your email address into our register page and we'll contact you about this show. Field Sports Britain, it's out at 7 p.m. UK time every Wednesday, and this has been Field Sports Britain. Good hunting, good shooting, good fishing, and goodbye.